podcast brought to you by Scuttlebutt Brewing. Enjoy their new porter. They don't really give me a whole much more information about it.
Alright, world. Get ready for the least professional podcast you've ever heard.
Welcome to X-Rated.
Yes, we are your hosts.
This is Matt Fisher.
And this is Ryan. It Gets Better. Whedon. Long-time listeners and amateur porn enthusiasts might remember him best from the It Gets Better porn parody that you might have seen in the Hump Film Festival.
We were robbed. I didn't enter an amateur porn festival to make friends. I entered to win.
Alright, Omarosa.
And we didn't. And I was kind of upset about that.
Yeah, I remember my boyfriend at the time went to a screening, and it was a different screening than I went to. Like, our schedules didn't align. And he goes, "You used to date Ryan Whedon, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "He's got a really nice body." And I was like, what a weird thing to text me out of the blue. And then, like, 3 hours later, I went to Hump. And then I saw it, and I didn't know that that's what he was referring to. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's true. I at one point was in an amateur porn film festival, and we lost to... If we didn't win Best Picture, that's fine. I was more upset that we didn't win Funniest. Although the one that did win, it was a parody of America's Funniest Home Videos, where they would intercut actual scenes of people laughing on the show America's Funniest Home Videos with like porn bloopers. So
I don't even remember that.
it was funny. I remember seeing it and being
you
like,
say that
fuck!
was such a scowl. It was funny.
Because it was like, yeah, that's better than our idea, dang it. But it's okay. I haven't been back. Have you gone back to other humps since?
Yeah, I mean, it's going on right now.
It is.
This is dating the podcast.
Whatever.
Yeah, I should go this year. I have yet to go.
They do it for 2 weekends now, right?
I think it's more than that.
Jeez. Should we mention that we just came from a live podcast taping?
We did. We're not going to tell you which one because of copyright infringement, but rest assured, it was wonderful, and all parties...
You could say it was the greatest...
of at least a certain generation.
Yeah, a certain generation would call it the greatest.
Tom Brokaw, I'm sure, would not approve.
Right, he would probably have problems with the name of this podcast. We, of course, don't. One way of putting it would be the best generation, but there's other ways of putting it.
Yeah.
Such as...
The ultimate.
The ultimate generation.
I mean, that might
really, really good generation.
That might be too obvious. We might just want to call it the greatest era.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't want to just give it away.
Yeah, right. If you haven't guessed it by now. Anyway, that was a lot. It was fun. I had fun.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. They made fun of redheads, so what's not to like.
Yeah, I didn't laugh at that joke.
Just more strawberry, really.
I mean, if you want to get into it, I have a long-standing theory that Hollywood hates redheads.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they're often cast as the villain or the best friend vixen. Rarely are they ever... they're never lead characters, and rarely are they given anything more to do than, like... They're often the snitch, also. They're usually the ones who...
I'll concede that point to male characters. Like, I can't think of real charismatic redheaded men, like leading men. Like, I feel like there are like redheaded ladies that pull it off. You got your Emma Stones out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's others.
I feel like it's getting better, but
it gets better.
It does get better for redheads. But I mean, if you think about it, like The Incredibles, the bad guy's redhead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like Harry Potter. Ron, their entire family is all like a side character story.
Sure.
Like, it's around. You see it a lot. Once you start to look for it.
Does this go even into, like, Irish films? Like, are there no...
Well, Hollywood.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of, like, Irish films. I'm like, The Wind That Shakes the Barley. I'm like, oh, no, it's a brunette that leads that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, there. See?
Yeah.
That right there is, like, we can't have a redhead in a leading role. Which is why Brave was such a brave choice. Even though that movie was troublesome. But,
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I won't tell you too much.
There's a redhead in it, spoiler alert. Here's a theory.
Okay.
Off the top. Hollywood dislikes redheads more than they dislike people of color. Because Shawshank Redemption, in the original story, Morgan Freeman's character was an Irishman.
Oh.
And there's all this talk about like people of Hollywood whitewashing stories or whitewashing like characters like when they're drawing it from like source material. And this is one that the character was initially white, but a redhead because his character is red. And he's asked about it, and he's like, "Oh, it's because I'm Irish," and it's a big joke because he's black.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
But yeah, in the book he was just an Irish redhead.
Wow.
And for some reason in the movie they gave it to Morgan Freeman. So
I wonder if
that's how persecuted your people are
in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a painful struggle being
you live with every day.
Oh God, let me tell you, just the persecution going on for me right now is tough. Now I regret editing out all that Morgan Freeman stuff from the last episode. I am not prescient about these things.
Well, you know, you're not like our Uber driver.
No,
who knew?
That was his
superpower.
He was there. He knew, guys.
It's like I hailed the Uber, like I got my app out, and we couldn't even finish complaining about the look of the new app before he was there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I barely got to say,
we barely scratched the surface of how shitty it is.
We're so good at ripping things apart. Dang it.
Oh, wow.
No.
I guess his power's a blessing and a curse.
And he has to live with that every day.
And see, right now, all right, Julianne Moore, but it's another lady. Ladies are allowed to be redheads.
Yeah, but she's still. I mean,
she's like an auburn.
No. She's definitely a redhead. I guess it's just not when they're a star. Like it's in general, if you're a redhead, you're gonna be cast as like the slut or the vixen, or if you're a lady, or if you're a man, it's pretty much like...
Are you belittling her breakout role as the porn star in Boogie Nights?
No. That was a great job she did. But again, you know, she has to be like a sexy character.
Yeah.
And it's just a thing I noticed. Or someone brought it up to me years ago, and I still see it everywhere.
I am really struggling to think of like a male character, like especially a male lead. Listeners out there, if you can help prove us wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right term. We just want your help.
If you can think of any redheaded male leading... I mean, Robert Redford, I suppose, but...
Yeah, even he's not super... It's like a chestnut, almost.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're still going to keep going on this topic, but I will say that in the movie we watched for this week, there is a redhead in it that I found attractive.
Gates McFadden?
No, in the movie.
Oh!
Although I do look up to her.
Oh, yeah, no, the redheaded drummer?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no.
Also happens to be named Ryan.
Oh, yeah, no, that was... You could hit my drum kit any day.
Phil... I don't know.
Just hit that snare. I don't know enough about drums.
Yeah, sexual drum metaphors are hard.
introduce.
Yeah, the movie I wanted to watch this week was Whiplash.
Yes.
Directed by Damien Chazelle. This was his breakout directorial movie. He has a movie coming out in a couple weeks called La La Land, which is apparently a musical starring
I've heard great
Emma
things.
Stone.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see what happens, how she's treated. Hollywood. He also wrote it. He was a screenwriter, apparently, mostly before this. He screenwrote the new Cloverfield movie.
Yes.
Which was surprising to me. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
that's cool. And yeah, this movie, when I watched it like a year and a half ago, I think it's the movie in my recent memory that I really remember kind of knocking my socks off.
Okay.
Second time through, I still like it. I still think it's a good film.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of hit me in a different way.
Okay.
It wasn't the thrilling tour de force that I thought it was the first time through. This time around, it felt a little like, is this actually worth seeing as a film, as a movie? That was a question I had a lot. I was like, because it felt like, it's just a character situation. It could be like a play kind of thing. But then it takes until I'll come back to this. But like the last scene is when I started to realize like, no, it really needs the music element.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes this a good movie, is that you can tell this story, but you need to tell it in film, because you couldn't tell this in a book and be like, it wouldn't come across. You really need that sound element to it. So in that way, I felt proud of my past self for liking this.
There's definitely some very cinematic moments. I mean, the opening scene where it was like the tracking shot down the hallway to Miles Teller, Andy Neiman's the character's name. And then you kind of realize that it's from the point of view of J.K. Simmons or Terrence Fletcher.
And he hears him first, because it starts on a black screen.
Yeah.
And you just hear that snare roll. So it's like it starts with him hearing it and then going towards him.
I am sort of predisposed to like a movie a little bit more. So this is my first time seeing it. I had never seen it before. I'd wanted to. It just slipped through the cracks. I'm sort of partial to movies where like the themes or the rhythm of the movie is laid out in the opening scene.
Okay.
And the interaction that Terrence and Andy have, where it's like, comes in, pushes him a little bit, and then he's gone, comes back, but it's like a fake out.
Yeah.
And then he's gone again. Like, the way that it played out, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is their dynamic. Like, if this is foreshadowing their dynamic. And, like, it was, but, like, in, like, the overall arc. Like, I didn't realize how much the opening scene was their dynamic,
right,
or was the story that was about to unfold, until we really get to the end.
I didn't see it that way. That's a very insightful thing to notice.
Thank you, Ryan. But, yeah, like, movies that do that, I'm a big classical music fan, so, like, in overtures, you can often hear, like, all the music that you're like that the whole opera's gonna have, and it'll have like little bits and pieces that take you all the way through.
Right.
So I always like it when a movie kind of does the same thing, when it's like all like the themes of like all the dynamic is in just like the first like 2-3 minutes, and then the story actually starts. Like, I don't know.
Jazz songs are like that too. Like you get the first like refrain kind of thing, it starts off, and then like they branch off.
Yes.
I think. I don't know a lot about jazz, but
you'll be getting my
good
opinions on jazz.
This is great.
As this goes along. But yeah, so I really like, that was like one thing that I was like, oh, okay, cool, I like that. Because I just sensed it. Like, I'm sure it was like the director's intent to like, and the way that it was edited, like, and that's one thing that kind of made it that you couldn't make it a play. Like they edited it so it's like Fletcher was watching do the drum solo. He looks up and he's gone.
Right.
Like, that quick cut, and then he's back, and like it has the quick edit that like I don't think you could recreate in like a play.
Right. Or a book. Really.
Or a book. Yeah. I don't know if it would have the same impact. Yeah. And it's one of those subtle things. Like, it's just how quickly it's cut. Like how it's like a smash cut to him like not being there. So yeah, I thought, yeah, especially that opening scene was just like very subtle, like feather touch to it, but still very good. I want to talk about my problem with the movie.
Great, yeah, I'd love it.
And it, like, I feel like if people listen to this, they're gonna think that I hate this movie, but I don't. But I already anticipate, not an argument, but like you defending it.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe you'll just be like, no, I had this written down.
I had a different feel for it a second time through. So,
So my beef with the movie is that I can't believe that there's a teacher like this. That like drill sergeants can't talk to people the way that he talked to people. Like, he was sexist, he was, racist and, xenophobic in these scenes. And, like, the idea that, like, it'd be one thing if this was, like, just, like, a top-tier band that, like, it was his own personal funding, like, he was your boss in a band, and everyone in it was choosing to be there because, like, it came with, like, a level of prestige, but, like, this was, like, a school, and, like, there's no possible way that, like, this school would let this teacher get this far without some sort of abuse or harassment suit against him.
Right, repercussions.
Which, I mean, that does crop up in the movie, but it's like, never would it get this far in a music school.
Unless, like, is he the head of the school?
I mean, they don't make it clear.
But then how would he get fired? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, he was, like, let go in the movie, but, like, yeah, it wasn't... And, like, I feel like it's sort of a double-edged critique, because it's, like, in, like, Devil Wears Prada, everyone's like, oh, Meryl Streep's such a bitch. And, like, I watched the movie, I'm like, other than, like, that scene when she was like, you have to get me that, like, Harry Potter book in advance, I didn't think she actually did anything that was that unreasonable. Like, she was, like, stiff and rigid and, like, unemotional, but I was like, she's the boss. Like, she's got, like, a fashion empire to overlook. Like, nothing really struck me as, like, super bitchy, like the way that everyone, she's a monster.
She's not abusive. Like,
yeah.
This guy, he's full on abusive.
And so I was like, in that respect, like, this movie delivered. Like, J.K. Simmons' character, like, had the reputation of being, like, this just destructive monster, and he lived up to it. Like, his character met that reputation. Like, I don't even know if I can say this, but, like, he called the kid, like, Jaime at one point.
Oof, I missed that.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, God.
I did write down one really creative insult, which is, you fucking pathetic pansy-ass fruit fuck.
Oh, yeah, the homophobia.
Oh, it was all over, yeah.
But also, the fun thing about the homophobia is that it almost seemed slightly accepting.
Like,
it was like he was.
It's okay because you're a good musician. Maybe?
Yeah, like he would call people faggots, but like it didn't seem like that was a judgment call.
Yeah,
like he told that like one guy, he's like, "This is a saxophone, not your boyfriend's dick, so don't come too quickly."
Right? Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, don't come early. I don't know, like, even though, like, he was calling people gay, and it was, like, it didn't strike me as super direct. Like, I would almost say that, like, if I was a band leader, if I knew the person was gay, I would probably say that. Like, there was, like, I don't know, a jovialness to the homophobia, but only the homophobia, really, like, in, like, the first scene when he's, like, your first chair, let's see if you're only here because you're cute, and then she plays, like, one note, and he goes, that's why.
Yep.
But yeah, I just kept thinking, I was like, he slaps kid, throws a chair at the kid.
The only thing I can think of for why that would be acceptable is that he produces winners, and like the school would say then, like.
Even then, I can't believe that there'd be any school that would allow this level of abuse. Like, I mean, other teachers witnessed it. Like, yeah, like I can't believe that.
Maybe everyone's too scared to talk about it because whenever, he's not in that room with the band, it's like he's so sweet. Like, there's that scene where he gives that little girl the high five.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
You know, when they're in the hallways.
Yeah, he was super sweet to Andrew, Miles Teller.
At one point, too, yeah.
Yeah, when he's like, just have fun, stuff like that.
And that was in the hallway.
Yeah.
And so it's like, maybe there's something about that room where it's like, the kids in the room don't want to talk about it because they just know that he's like, oh, he makes us great.
Yeah.
And then nobody questions it because he just keeps producing this great results.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to rationalize it at this point. So, but I hear you. I totally hear you. If anybody threw a fucking chair at me, I would be out of there so fast. I would say, fuck you. This is not worth it.
So, my next question, and this isn't necessarily a critique of the movie, but, like, they talk about it a lot. Like, the reason why he threw a chair, like, is that, like, Joe Jones threw a cymbal at Charlie Parker,
right.
like, in front of a crowd, and, like, it embarrassed him so much. Like, he went home, cried himself to sleep, but, like, the next morning had, like, the resolve. He's like, I'm never gonna let that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, became Charlie Parker, like, one of the most influential musicians, like, in terms of just musicianships, like, of all time, but, like, potentially, like, the most influential of the 20th century.
Right.
But then I think to myself, did someone have to throw a cymbal at Miles Davis to make him great? Did someone have to throw a cymbal at John Coltrane to make him great? Did someone have to throw a cymbal at the great Ryan Whedon to get
maybe
to get a great opening?
No one ever did.
A great opening music.
Yeah.
So it's like there's all this talk about like negative reinforcement being like the best reinforcement for these people, and I think like I don't know how true that is. It seemed like they were focusing in, or at least Fletcher was, on one specific anecdote, and he let that be his philosophy on life. Because there are probably thousands, millions of talented people that did not have to have physical violence in order to become great. Now, I mean...
But, I mean, they're not being talked about at, dinner tables or anything like that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, like, Miles Davis, like, I don't... Maybe he was. Maybe there was, like, violence that, like, pushed him to be great. Or, violence that pushed Bob Dylan or Leonard Cohen to, like, be great. Like, maybe there was at some point, but, like, I feel like it was taking... And like, I also understand that, like, there are cocky people out there, like... And Miles Teller in this, like, he had a little bit of ego. Like, he was cocky.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's all he wanted. He realized that.
Yeah.
And I think that J.K. Simmons' character also recognized it. Whenever he... And I think that's part of what you were talking about, the opening shot, because, we're seeing his point of view. So whenever... There's a couple times when his eyes, J.K. Simmons' eyes, meet the camera.
Okay.
And every time it does, it's like... You get this fear, because you don't want him looking at you. You don't want him to pick you, because you know that means he's going to be on you, and he's going to push you in the way that he pushes you, which is scary.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe they all knew that, like, that... Maybe he told that story to everyone, like, this is how you become great.
Yeah.
And so that's why they all have that in their head, and it's like, he just keeps reinforcing that for them, maybe?
Yeah. And I just wonder, like, would Charlie Parker not have become Charlie Parker if that symbol hadn't been thrown at him? Like,
well, that's the argument he makes in the bar when they're both sitting there together. He's like, somebody would have just said, oh yeah, good job. He wouldn't have pushed himself to make that crazy solo.
But I personally feel that, like, Charlie Parker would have been great no matter what.
Yeah, maybe. We'll
we'll
never know. We'll never know.
And I feel like there's enough external factors in a person's life that will drive them to be creative without one piece of shit making them feel horrible about like themselves.
Yeah.
Cause like Miles Teller, like he was cocky and like, you know, you're not really supposed to say like, oh, good job to someone who has like natural talent.
Mm-hmm.
You're only supposed to really compliment them when like they do go like above and beyond. But it's like that's what I mean. Like you're supposed to compliment them when they go above and beyond, like not shit on them.
Mm-hmm. And he does at the end. He finally says like,
yeah,
okay, you're right. You get this now.
The other thing that took me out of the film.
Go ahead.
He rents a car. He's only 19.
Oh,
you can't rent a car when you're 19.
You're right.
Took me right out of the movie.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
And with good reason. He gets into an accident, spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's actually a question I wrote down from this time. Because in the first time I watched it, that car wreck was very shocking. This time around, I knew it was coming. But it made me question, like, are blind sides in cars cliche at this point? Because I feel like I've seen that happen many times now.
Now, I will say, the accident, the way that it was shot and captured on film, I thought was great.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
just the fact that it happens,
type of like T-bone accident.
it just happens. I feel like it happens so much. Like No Country for Old Men, it happens at the end, and like I've seen it. I just feel like I've seen it a lot.
The people that I was watching it with, it was like car accident. He's gonna get T-bone. Like everyone could see exactly what was gonna happen.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not.
But it
like, works for the film.
It works for the film, and like the way that it was shot, I thought it was fantastic. Like
in the car.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm glad that it was drums.
Yeah.
I feel like it's underrepresented as a solo instrument in movies. Like, I don't know how many movies there are about the piano. I know it's like your instrument of choice.
I hear you. I'm with you.
But it's like, I don't know, I feel like everyone plays the piano, and if they don't play the piano, they play the violin, and if they don't play the violin, they play the cello. And I don't know, I feel like those instruments are really easy to sound immediately expressive on. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's harder with an instrument like the drums.
Absolutely. And I think I have a theory about why they chose the drums. Is because playing drums is an inherently violent action.
Sure.
You're taking a piece of wood and hitting a piece of metal, or a piece of hide, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how you're producing sound.
Yeah.
So the violence in the movie could be paralleled with that in a way.
I was thinking when he was like practicing really hard and he was getting the blisters in like the corners of his hands, and it was like emotional scars were becoming physical scars.
Indeed.
And blood on the drum kits, and
there's a surprising amount of blood in this movie.
There's a shocking amount for about like a kid and a teacher.
Yeah, I noticed that this time around, thinking like, wow, they really
there's that
blood.
Scene where he puts his hand into the ice water, which is a beautiful shot, and it's like how like the water fills with red.
Yeah.
Like that looked real good.
This is the second movie I've recommended now that has a scene where the whole screen just fills with red because it's blood and water. As soon as that happened, I was like, damn it. I have a weakness, apparently.
Got a fetish for blood in
just
water.
Red filling the screen.
It's also, like, Miles Teller, like, I guess he practiced. Like, he was already a drummer beforehand, and then he took lessons before the movie in preparation for the role.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's really him playing it?
40% of the music is his drumming.
Wow.
But it for the most part, it was him drumming to pre-recorded tracks.
Okay.
But it looks pretty seamless.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like he's actually up there doing it.
There were a lot... the first time I watched it, I just assumed he was a real musician that like, happened to also be a decent actor. Actually, he does a really good job, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And then... and this time through, the second time through, I was thinking, like, there's no way that they could get somebody who's, like, this multi-talented, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm glad that you looked that up because
Yeah.
I meant to and did not. So
Also, fun fact that I found out while researching the film, it's one of the lowest grossing movies to ever get an Academy Award nomination.
wow, look at that.
Look at that.
What did it gross?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh.
But, yeah, it was just nobody
good
saw
for
it in
them.
theaters, so yeah, which
Good.
is kind of sad. I felt like it was better that I think I've seen all the Best Picture nominees at this point from last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say it's one of the better of them.
Mm.
You know, even though I spent the last 20 or so minutes ragging on how elements took me right out of the film, but
Yeah, I really like. I think for me, what resonated the first time and what still kind of resonates is the element of drive
okay,
in the film, of just what motivates someone to try to be the best.
Yeah.
You know? And the scenes where he's cutting out his family and cutting out his girlfriend because he's I can't
yeah,
do this with you in tow.
right,
There was a time when I had an insane egomania and
yeah?
was prepared to do all of that, and then I realized, I'm just a person, and so
Can I
it's
get the film rights to that?
it's I wrote this down because I feel this way. I feel very strongly this way. But people that are really successful and at the top and who become names past their death that people still talk about, they're jerks. They're always probably
There are 3 demons you
assholes.
must slay
Yeah.
in order to succeed: friends, family, religion.
Is that a Matt Fisher? Is that a Fisherism?
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to be on your way to some phony baloney church or synagogue or maternity ward.
It's true.
It's a Mr. Burnsism.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's kind of the same thing, really, when you think about it. But it's true. I've met people that are really striving for that legendary status, and
Yeah.
they're assholes.
I was gonna say, can I say right now, I don't get those people.
Yeah, sociopaths, man.
Yeah,
Just gross.
I get the idea of loving music and wanting to make your living at it,
Mhm.
but sort of how Miles was in this movie, that he was okay dying at 37. I know, you're right there.
Next year.
He was okay dying at 37, from a heroin overdose, on the assumption that people would talk about him,
Mhm.
40, 50, 60 years later.
Right.
I'm that's a really bold presumption, for one thing.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people who thought they were hot shit and, died of a heroin overdose who nobody talks about anymore.
Right. Oh, totally.
So maybe this is why I'm recording a podcast instead of making movies on my own. But that is definitely a mindset that I do not share.
Yeah.
Although I did like that dinner sequence when he was I thought they ratcheted up the tension pretty good.
It was
between
great.
him
I
and
actually
siblings.
paused it because I wanted to write down oh, this scene is so uncomfortable.
But the way that his family was how's your drumming going?
Right. Belittle it.
Belittle it. A boyfriend of mine produced a movie once.
Mm.
And we went down to Sundance, it premiered at the Sundance
Oh,
Festival.
wow.
Yeah. So we went down to see it, and I jokingly was belittling it. I kept calling it his little video. Even though it was a feature-length film with known actresses in it, and
Which, as we've talked about, is hard to make.
yeah. Well, we going to see your little video now?
In general, I think people just aren't interested, and
Yeah.
especially jazz. Does anybody care about that right now? I'm sorry if you do. Please speak up and tell me what I'm missing out on. But,
So I am a big jazz fan.
oh,
Not the biggest, but big enough. And I felt like there might have been a missed opportunity in the finale.
the finale. Okay,
Yes.
go on, because I think that's the best part of the movie.
It's a good part, but So jazz, as Homer Simpson once put it, second Simpsons reference out of the podcast.
You're gonna get some Simpsons references.
Homer once said, jazz, they just make it up as they go.
And then proceeds to do Mary Had a Little Lamb.
And this really focused on the compositional side of jazz, which is also, I feel, an underrepresented aspect of jazz. Like, there is, like, strict jazz composition out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so at first I thought this was shining a light on that, which I really think is sort of underappreciated, especially because they were doing Caravan, which, oh god, I didn't look this up, I believe was written by Billy Strayhorn, who was in Duke Ellington's band, but he was closeted, and he didn't want the spotlight put on him.
Okay.
So he really just let Duke Ellington, like, put his name on everything and let him get all the spotlight. But yeah, Billy Strayhorn was totes gay. But yeah, it's like, there is, like, a lot of composition that goes into, like, these jazz pieces, especially, like, big band stuff. Like, you're writing for, like, different sections and things like that. And, you know, it's a talent that, you know, not every, even classical composer can have to, like, write for, like, a big swing band.
I was surprised at some of the compositional elements to the music in this film.
Pretty good.
Honestly. But I don't listen to a lot of jazz,
okay.
so...
So at the end, you know, spoiler alert, but, like, it's sort of a trap. You know, Andrew is brought thinking that he's going to be playing Caravan and Whiplash, you know, the titular song. And Fletcher's like, and now for a new song. And Miles has to, like...
submarines him.
Yeah. And I thought that, like, he was gonna just feel the music and, like, improvise something great on the spot to show that, like, he was, like, a true blue, like, jazz musician, like, that he could feel music enough to improvise on the spot like that.
Okay.
Or at least enough, because, like, I know that there's sort of, like, the drama of him, like, walking off stage, you know, like, he's been defeated, but then he, like, walks back out on stage.
Right.
And
like, then that's him
blows
taking
everyone
control,
away.
yeah.
Yeah. But I felt like it was, like, a curveball, and I almost feel like it would have been better if he had handled it, like, in a way that surprised Fletcher. In a way that took him off guard. That he was able to improvise on it on the spot.
But then that I think that kind of does a disservice to the rest of the movie, because then that means that he's just like some musical genius rather than somebody who puts in grueling hours practicing, trying to become the best musician he can be.
I felt like there was just like an instance where it could have shown what really jazz is most known for, like the improv aspect of it, which was really nowhere in the movie. Like, no one was really improvising so much in it. I mean, he was a little bit, like, he was soloing and, like, conducting the band from the drum sets. But it's like what jazz is best known for, so the free-form modal improvisation was largely overshadowed. I thought, like, that was going to be, like, the time that it came out to show that, like, he was a true musician. And it did it in favor of something that was fun. Like, I'm not belittling how they went for it, but I do kind of feel like it was just, like, a slight missed opportunity, or, like, it was like a choose-your-own adventure, and they chose one way, and I wanted them to choose the other way. But yeah, it was just, like, a thought that I had. I was like, oh, he's going to throw this curveball at him, but he's still going to knock it out of the park.
I would say to that, you know, there's like, maybe there's something to that with, like, just some people who are just innately super talented and can, you know, just you're obviously going to go to the top. Like, you're obviously the cream of the crop. You're gonna rise. But then there are people that work so hard. Yeah. They want to be at the top, and they will it into existence in a way. You know what I mean? There's obviously, like, some innate talent going on there, but it's like, to get to that next level, you have to want it. You know, I think of, like, what was that what was that film 40 Feet from Stardom, where it's like they're talking with one of those singers, and it's just like, if you don't, you can be an amazing singer or or musician or whatever, but if you don't have that X factor of like wanting to be at the top, you're just not going to make it there, And I feel like our Andrew here did, and he just had to find that moment to do that, and it took the humiliation that the teacher did to him again, because he's an abusive asshole, to bring that out of him,
Real, yeah.
And I think that's like maybe the point the movie is making with him being so abusive in a way,
It feels like the two sort of reconcile there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Simmons is like conducting, and like the movie ends with like a triumphant like point.
Right.
And I almost don't feel like J.K. Simmons earned that like I don't think they should have reconciled. Like I feel like Simmons didn't get his comeuppance. Like for but I mean,
yeah. I mean, he lost his job.
He lost his job, but he seemed to get like a fine, cushy job in the meantime. But
what would you have wanted him? What wanted to happen to him?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it should have been like shoved in his face maybe a bit more.
I'd like to think that in Whiplash 2, our friend here, Andrew, just goes on and becomes a very successful musician, and does so by saying, "Fuck that guy. He was terrible. Do not follow him anymore. He was a jerk." And then then maybe we could even follow J.K. Simmons as he just spirals into sadness and despair. That sounds like a good movie.
What would the Whiplash 2 : like new batch? Which it would make sense. They had a new crop of students. Electric Boogaloo is too easy.
I think we could do something with like, drums. So like flam, bam, thank you, ma'am, or I don't know, paradiddle you, electric paradiddle you. There's something in there maybe. I'm too tired.
Oh, we both have Farside mugs.
What do you know?
Oh, I didn't even plan that.
I mean, I love the Far Side. Did you have anything else before I transition into my favorite Far Side comics?
I mean, Far Side ended in like 1995.
Yeah, but I do have some favorites that I still think about.
What's Gary Larson doing these days?
Is Gary around? Gary, you want to come on the podcast?
I would love to watch a movie with Gary Larson.
Yeah, we should let him pick it. If he comes on, be like, you pick our movie, and we'll watch it with you.
He's going to pick, like, Fantastic Planet or something. Or maybe that's too obvious.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to watch that again. It makes me feel weird.
Weird how?
Just in that funny, like, sometimes the 70s makes me feel funny. Does that make sense? Okay. Like, I don't know. There's a weird...
It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes that year.
I know. I liked it, but it makes me have that icky...
That was one of the movies you challenged me to watch.
I know, and listen, it's totally worth watching. You should see Fantastic Planet if you haven't yet. But it gives me that icky 70s feeling of, I don't know, Browns and, like, AM radio really, like, bug me.
I believe it was one podcast episode ago where you were praising AM radio darling Paul Williams.
Look, I've got strong feelings. I'm happy to be the emotional one here, who just goes by his whims. But And the Phantom of the Paradise has some good music.
Great
that
music,
isn't.
yeah.
And actually, I mean, yeah, some of that is AM Gold.
It's
Whatever.
The Blu-ray is still exactly where you put it last week.
I just, yeah, I don't know. It makes me feel icky.
No, I don't know if our listeners want to hear this, but like, I like ABBA.
Oh, yeah.
But that might be like the end of my like AM radio liking. I watched all the like classic 2D animated Disney films this year.
Oh, right.
Like I literally started like the first weekend in January and started like watching 2 every weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And the original Rescuers is like AM radio in a movie. Like it's like
Go on.
It's like a Rita Coolidge song in movie form. Like, yeah, just soft rock, parent ready. Like, yeah.
What was the name of the woman, the bad woman in that one?
Oh, I don't remember. She was the shining part of that movie, though.
All I remember when I'm thinking about her now is her boobs.
Yeah.
Like, they're drippy and just swinging all over. She is not wearing a bra.
She kind of seemed like that's like between like Cruella de Vil and Ursula.
Or
like,
Mad Madam Mim would be the other one I would say.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And so like the villain in that was solid, but yeah, the movie itself is just fluffy garbage.
Did you watch The Rescuers Down Under too?
Oh yeah.
Since you were going through them, the crummy CGI.
Oh my god! Like the cars are just like rectangles. It was bad.
I saw it in the
CGI.
theater as a kid, and I remember thinking that looks terrible.
Yeah, like really just like blocks.
It's
just
garbage.
shapes.
Yeah.
Which is too bad because the movie's pretty good.
Yeah. And especially the actual 2D animation.
Yeah,
is really good. But then when they start...
It's also got George C. Scott as the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like...
And he looks great, all craggy faced.
Yeah.
Just...
Yeah, no, like that... Like, Rescuers Down Under is... I don't know why they chose Rescuers to do a sequel, but the sequel is head and shoulders better than the original.
Really?
Oh my...
I mean, I haven't seen it since I was
The
a kid.
original Rescuers is like one of the worst of the Disney canon. But like Rescuers Down Under, I would put in like top 10.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you really think there's an eagle that's big enough for a kid to ride on, though? I mean, it's Australia for sure, but...
I mean, really, it was the last of its kind. Like, that's why they.
Why am I trying to make it logic out of a fucking Disney movie?
Yeah.
Do you really think that crab's going to be able to direct an entire undersea orchestra? I mean, he can barely move.
How would he even hold a baton?
I mean, jeez. There's so many problems with this movie.
FYI, Little Mermaid is my favorite of the Disney movies.
Oh man.
When I try and disconnect my nostalgia because I watched Little Mermaid a lot as a child. But I watch it now. I'm like, it's still so the songs are fantastic in that. The animation is so good. Like, there's a big jump between the one before that was
the
Oliver.
Black Cauldron. Oh no, you're right.
Yeah,
Oliver and Company.
Yeah, Black Cauldron was, I think, was early '80s. Black Cauldron's interesting. Like, it seems like they were trying to do more Saturday morning cartoon type. Like, there's blood in that movie. I think it's the only Disney film that has blood in it.
I think I saw that in my gymnasium when I was in elementary school.
Oh, okay.
I think that's when I first saw that.
It has a really annoying sidekick.
The little Furby looking thing, or whatever
it's
it is.
Jar Jar Binks.
Oh.
And it has kind of a plot that's the lamest RPG you've ever played.
I read those books as a kid.
They were books?
Yeah, the Black Cauldron's actually the second in the series. I cannot remember the name of the series. So that's going to be a dead zone for us. Sorry, listeners. If anybody remembers, it's Lewin LL... Oh, shit. I can't remember.
Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the name of the series.
So when I watched all the Coen Brothers movies, you know what I called that marathon?
Go for it.
Coen the Distance.
Oh, man.
I had to work in one pun.
What was your favorite from that group?
I'm a big fan of Blood Simple.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. I also feel like it's like the Coens came right out of the gate with like all their themes already in place.
Right.
And like everything else has kind of just been variations on like that theme. I mean, they have like their dark side and their comedic side.
They're just solid filmmakers.
Oh yeah,
everything's good.
Even like their like worst rated films, like Lady Killers, still pretty good.
Yeah. They do a good mix of style and substance, which is always pleasant.
I tend to actually not like their comedies.
Although, yeah, I revisited Oh Brother, Where Art Thou a couple recently, a year or two ago, and not nearly as great as I remember it.
Yeah, I never cared for that one.
It's too farcy and like just silly. I don't know. It doesn't connect.
Yeah, I don't know. Like their comedy is like when I watched what was the name of their last movie?
Oh, Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar. Like I don't get it. Like and I had the same problem with that one that I had with Burn After Reading, where it's like there was good ideas, but it felt like they stopped short.
That one just feels like the movie studio's like, here, make a movie, and they're like, I guess we have money to make a movie. Do you have any ideas? No? Okay, well, let's just try and make something.
I would have watched an entire movie with Tilda Swinton's as like gossip columnist. Like that's a movie in itself for me, and they gave her like 5 minutes of screen time.
No, and they had too many celebrities who were like, I want to be on board with this.
Yeah.
And so they're like trying to shoehorn in ways to put them in there, and it just...
And the only time I ever find Channing Tatum attractive is when he's dancing, and they didn't have him dancing enough in this movie. Like, yeah. It's like, I like the Magic Mike movies a lot, too much.
Really? I
Yeah.
was very disappointed by the first one, so I didn't see the second one.
Oh, the second one's even better.
Didn't Steven Soderbergh say he's going to stop making movies after Magic Mike? He was like, I need to make
that
this...
was his last movie.
I need to make this... He didn't make XXL?
No, he edited it. He made that show on, like, Showtime called The Nick.
I don't know.
I didn't see it. It had Clive Owen in it.
Okay.
But I believe he is actually making a new movie now.
You can't do that. I mean... By the way, my favorite Far Side comic is the one with the T-Rexes sitting down to dinner, and just the cat, and one of them's holding a bowl of mashed potatoes, and the other one is saying, "Well, I'm trying to pass the mashed potatoes, but my forearms are just as useless as yours." So there, I had to get that out.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Larson.
Gary
You're
Larson.
welcome to come on.
I mean, he seriously did stop like writing comics in '95.
Well, what's he been up to for 20 years? We can talk about it.
Like 21 years.
Is he still around? If I find out,
We have
he's
listeners
passed,
younger
I'll be
than
really
us.
sad.
Presumably.
Hopefully, yeah. Hi, Mom. Oh, wait, not my mom. Hi, Matt's mom. Oh, boy. Well, yeah, so what are we watching for this next week?
Oh. I didn't run by you first, so I don't know if you've seen it or not.
That's okay.
I'm going to pause a lot in case we need to edit this, and I have to say a different movie. Have you ever seen The Sweet Hereafter?
I have.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to talk about it. I mean, that's why I wanted to talk. That's why I threw Whiplash on here, is because I want to be able to talk about these things.
Okay.
That was actually, today coming into this, it was just like, I'm so excited to actually finally get to talk about Whiplash with somebody, because nobody else had seen it when I saw it. It was just like, oh my god,
lowest grossing movie.
Yeah, I need to. I need to say something about this movie to somebody. Yeah, I would sit.
Okay, my next movie is The Sweet Hereafter.
Okay.
I mean, you may have forgotten, I gravitate towards the most depressing films Like, that is, like, the sun in my cinematic universe.
Oy, it's a heavy one, guys.
Just wait till I'm like, I think it's Von Trier time.
Like, please don't make me watch Antichrist again. Can I please have a veto on that? I don't need to see William Dafoe coming blood again. I really don't. It's in my brain forever.
I remember the first time I watched Dogville, I had to pause it and go and take a walk because it was like having such an effect on me.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and I'm all burpy.
I can edit them out. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll edit in extra burps for you.
But yeah, I feel like his films are very easy to understand and absorb, but like that's part of the problem. Like
that's the devilishness.
The potency, it just goes like straight to the heart. Like it goes right into your system, and it's not like you have to think about it. Like it's already there.
Yeah. Okay, so Sweet Hereafter next week.
Sweet Hereafter.
Speaking about making me sad. And then yeah, so we should plug our junk. I'll do another little music thing for that, plug our junk.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Yeah.
We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. Twitter is
X-Rated Movies.
And then our Facebook page is Rated X Movies. And that's EX, as in no longer dating.
Yeah.
And, correct us, but be kind. We're gentle souls. And, send us funny things if you feel the desire.
We're most receptive to cute animal pictures.
Oh, man.
So if you're like, 1 star, but here's a little bunny, like, I'll look past it.